Hi everybody, it's Annette from The Art of Intuition. And today we're going to go into ignoring or just not bothered and the subtle differences between the two. This is a video that kind of came up for me yesterday. I mean, I've written it down because it's something I heard, and then I had something come up yesterday and I was like, well, let me see, which one am I doing here? Because this is really not something I've had to do in a while. Sometimes, especially this time of year, when we're coming out of the equinox, which will last till like mid-October, you'll start to see, and you saw a lot of this too in the summer solstice, anything that can't go with you into your next timeline has to be cleared out, right? So perhaps you've had similar situations and they might have taken longer to play out. They're kind of, are they 100% aligned? No. And I've got stuff like that. Is it 100% aligned to this timeline? No. Is it kind of over there and I really haven't had the energy to deal with it, whether it be the money to deal with it, the time to deal with it. It's not quite the right time to deal with it. It's just kind of over there. I'm going to kind of leave it over there and I'll get back to it. And then I had a situation yesterday where something was kind of right in my face. And I was like, are you kidding? Like, I was so surprised that all of a sudden something that I thought I wouldn't have to deal with was just right there. And I was kind of taken aback. So a lot of times when we have these situations come up, it's because they can't go with us. Now, when this happened to me yesterday, of course, I'm bitching out all my victim energy and I'm cussing and in my room and, outside going for a walk and just bitching and getting pissed and getting upset and letting all that out, getting all the emotion out, knowing that even though I had to try to, deal with the situation, I couldn't deal with it that day. I was too much emotion around it. So I'll clear the emotion around it first. Let's get as much as I can, and let me see if I can see a little bit more of what's going on. Why is this coming up now? Like, it seems like this is not the right time for this now. I still don't have the energy to deal with this right now, whether it be the money, the time, whatever. None of that's really changed, yet it's now I got to deal with this. And there's a lot of things going on. We get those situations of things that just pop up, and we're like, why is that popping up now? Why can't that, I couldn't deal with that 6 months ago and it didn't pop up, and now nothing's really changed in the sense of being able to deal with that more. That's why I haven't dealt with it. And it becomes that thing of, are we ignoring something or are we just not bothered by it? Like yesterday I was definitely bothered by it, and then I had to take a couple of days and I'm like, am I ignoring it? No, I know it has to be dealt with, and I also know I'm bothered by it. So I got to get rid of the bothering part first. I've got to get rid of the emotions. Why is it bothering me? What is it hitting? What is it triggering within me I can't take with me? The physical thing that happens is just to trigger something else. It's just to trigger that emotion inside of you. And I didn't even realize I had all this fear still inside of me over certain situations until there I was again with it. And I'm like, wow, I didn't realize it was there. So a lot of it's to trigger that out of the body. So you can say, okay, look at all this fear you had. You didn't think you had all this fear, but look, it's still there. This is what needed to trigger that. So those are why it happens, and we don't want to ignore it. If it bothers us, then we cannot ignore it. If I'd gotten that yesterday and the situation had come up and I felt nothing about it, and I'm like, okay, well, let me put that here and let me see how I feel about it. Or maybe I would just have put it aside and said, like, this is not even going to happen in my reality. We're just not going to deal with it. But the minute it bothered me to that extent, I knew I cannot ignore it. So they're kind of two sides to the same coin in a sense, Am I, now then you have the side, if I'm not bothered, and are you not bothered, or then are you ignoring? Sometimes we will have something, we don't want to admit we're bothered, so we ignore it. Because we don't want to go in there and admit, oh, that's bothering me. I want to stuff that down, so I'm just going to ignore it. And then it's just going to keep coming back with a vengeance, come back with a vengeance, come back with a vengeance. That will happen too. So look at where you are with something. Are you really not bothered by something, or are you ignoring it? And I can see different parts of my awakening and ascension, early parts of my ascension, where I could see I did both. When that doesn't really bother me. Like, I know I got some things out here, as I said earlier, that aren't aligned. I know they're not aligned, but I also know it's not time to align them. I think they're going to eventually let them go and they'll align on their own. I know that, right? I can feel that. I can sense that. I'm not really ignoring it, but it's not bothering me either. I've worked through all the issues with how it bothered me. So that can sit there and know that at some point I might have to deal with it, probably. But right now I can sit there because it's not bothering me, but I'm not ignoring it. Whereas when I have something yesterday, okay, that bothers me. I got to clear this stuff out, and that situation can't go forward anymore. It's also like, okay, next year you can't have this situation anymore. You've got to rectify this now. So what I'll always tell my universe is, okay, bring me the resources to deal with it. I've got to deal with this. And it also, if you have a time frame on it, sometimes you might have a time frame, like you have this long to deal with it, and it can be a human construct time frame, but there's still a time frame there, and you can ignore that time frame. But is it bothering you to ignore that time frame, or are you just not really bothered by the time frame that's been set? These are all things we kind of have to really delve into, and why is it happening? It's not the thing, it's the feeling the thing gives you. That's why it's important. That's why it's happening. Clear the feeling first. Clear the feeling first, clear the emotion first, and then look at the situation. Then really hone in on it and say, okay, what's the highest line thing for me to do here? What can I see? And am I going to be able to see more tomorrow? Do I deal with this today? Do I wait till tomorrow, till I have more clarity and insight? Maybe tomorrow is a better day to deal with it. Don't also be forced into dealing with something you're emotionally too attached to, you're emotionally too upset about to deal with it. We have to be able to deal with these from our highest timelines, from our highest aspects, which means our emotions do not come into play. We have to be able to deal with them from a space of fearlessness, really, in a sense, even if we're clearing fear. We have to be able to deal with the stuff from that space. And if we're not there, we need to get ourselves there before we do it. So ignoring, bothered, not being bothered, these are all different things you're going to be seeing right now. There's a lot of situations coming up. I don't think it was just me who got hit with stuff yesterday or over the last few weeks or the last few months. It's stuff that cannot go. And it's also my universe telling me this has got to be rectified. So knowing that you probably would have let this sit here with all these other things you were kind of letting sit here, this one has got to be rectified. These might take care of themselves. This one's not going to. Because it's so far out of alignment as to where you are right now that it has to be dealt with. This is a situation you have to deal with. And you have to figure out the highest way to do that. But clear the emotion first. I cannot say that enough. Clear the emotion. Take a deep breath. Take a couple of days. Take the time you need to get yourself to that place, get yourself back to peace inside, and then tackle that situation. See how is it best to align it. The way you thought about aligning it 2 days ago might not be the way you think you're going to align it today or in 2 days from now. I know I was going to take a couple of days. I knew I felt way better today than I did yesterday about it. And I will tomorrow see how I feel about it, see if I'm then ready to try to align the situation. And those are all things that we can't, sometimes we don't have that forethought until we clear the emotion. That is the most important thing you can do. We have to clear it because that's the reason it happened. It's not about the thing. It's not about the people that caused the thing or, what we did to cause the thing or our actions prior to the thing happening. It's okay. Now it's here. Now let me deal with it. Your universe will bring you what you need to be able to fix it, align it. If you need time to do that, if you need money to do that, and it's highest line for it to get aligned in that way, you will have those resources. But clear the emotion first. So when you go into it, you are doing what is highest line. If you're in the middle of aligning it, which is this is what I'm going to do. I feel like tomorrow's a good day to try. When I'm in the middle of it, if I find I'm getting more emotion coming up, I'm getting upset about it, you take a step back. Take that in, take in those emotions, clear those emotions, then go back. Don't feel like it all has to be aligned in 1 minute. You might be, and maybe I won't have that situation. Maybe I'll be able to align the whole thing tomorrow or the next day, or whenever I feel like it's time for me. I'm ready emotionally to do that. Those are just things we have to kind of feel our way through. Those are not things that we can kind of our human wants to go, we got to do it now. Oh my God, there's a time when there's a ticking clock. I got to do it right now. Don't fall into that. Don't ignore it. Like I said, don't fall into, okay, I'm bothered, but I'm going to ignore it. Wait, I'm not bothered. Let me just put it over here. When I'm not bothered, I put it over there and go, it'll align itself. I'm not going to give it too much attention right now because I don't have the capacity to really align it anyway. So I don't have what's going to be required to align that right now. So we're going to put it over there. Knowing at some point, it's either going to take care of itself or I'm going to have to. So really listen to your guidance inside, connect inside. Look at what it's bringing up. That is the point. It's not the thing. It's what it's triggering. That's why it occurred. Once you clear that, there's no point of the whole thing going forward anymore. It's the trigger. Are you ashamed? Do you feel a victim? Are you blaming someone? Are you just in fear? Is it clearing fear? Are you still attached to the old financial systems? If it's something from a human reality that you created, which mine was, it's going to be a lot of intimidation around that, because that's what human realities do. They try to bully you, intimidation, fear, manipulation. Those are what those realities are, but we can't go into those to align them like that. We have to go into them and align them from our highest place. And that is what you want to remember. If you can't get there, it's not time to align it yet. And when it's the right time, you'll be able to get there. Okay. Keep practicing the art of intuition.